I'm Mark.
And I'm Zach.
Every week, on a Saturday, in the Fab Radio International Studios,
we discuss 3 of the week's comic book releases and decide if we want to
pull or pass. Hello and welcome to Pull or Pass, your weekly geeky comic book radio show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Zach.
And we did a recording last week that's actually not terrible, so we're keeping that. What I mean is we did that live again, and we are brilliant and slick.
And just consistent in tone and volume.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it, and it's 100% true, with 100% of that not being true.
Like all good true stories.
True. So yeah, welcome to the show. We've got 3, maybe 4, probably 4 books to discuss this week. And we do have news, but not very much again.
Yeah, a bit bare bones on the news this week.
What have you got for me, Zach?
I've only got 2 things.
I've only got 2 things, and I think one of our 2 things are the same thing.
Oh, most definitely.
Go on.
So my first thing is more Batman casting.
Lots more Batman casting. One of them was confirmed, and some of them are kind of heavily rumoured, right?
When I wrote this down, most of them were rumoured. So
I think Matthew McConaughey is confirmed, right?
As Harvey Dent. Yeah.
Yes.
It was weird. I tried to double check last night and came away with, well, all the stuff saying it was a rumour still there, and there's like one article going, that's confirmed, guys. Yeah, it's real.
So maybe it's not then.
So yeah, I think McConaughey is pretty confirmed. Other than that, we've got Jeffrey Wright has been cast as Commissioner Gordon,
which is a great casting.
Yeah, I think he really suits it, and it does seem to suggest, or at least a lot of people are going with, this isn't the main DC universe like we've seen in the other films.
And why is that, Zach?
Because casting different.
Casting different?
Yeah, we've already got one Jim Gordon.
Is that right? It's not because... Yeah, I know, but I don't know why it's all good. The guy's black. So, obviously, it's not a younger or older version of the white Jim Gordon. It's a new Jim Gordon because the guy's black. So, I mean, it's not really possible to switch race. So, if it's in the new...
it kind of suggests that the existing...
white Jim Gordon.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons Jim Gordon.
So,
specific.
Yeah.
He's a little bit... Huh?
Yeah, so yeah. I don't know why people pussyfoot around it. The guy's black.
I mean, I know that. It's just... with DC Comics, it's impossible. This could be that they'll just treat it like... What do you mean? Jim Gordon was always black. You guys are wrong. Because that's the kind of thing...
Don't.
I have no faith in DC to tie everything together, but...
Do you know, I had so little faith in DC until Joker happened, then I was like, ooh...
Yeah, I can understand that. It's been a weird one.
And Matthew McConaughey and the Jim Gordon guy, his name I've already forgotten.
Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, him. They're great castings. They're great actors. They've got the chops, and I think they suit the parts. So they're dead good.
And I think it's easy to imagine Matthew McConaughey with only half a face.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they both seem pretty solid casting though. Both good actors, and yeah, what you said, I think this could be good. I think the cast we've got so far could be good. It's an interesting one. The other castings we've got, well, rumoured, is Colin Farrell as the Penguin, which I see, but I also don't fully understand.
He's just not Danny DeVito, is he?
He isn't. He's taller and less bald.
Significantly more handsome.
I don't know. I know people who are quite into DeVito. So
seriously,
yeah, maybe not in that way.
Are they like? I'm not even going to. I'm going to even speculate what's wrong with them.
And we've got
fetishists. That's what the word I'm going to go for. Are they fetishists? Oh, and then we went to a 12 from a PG.
We'll find out one day. We've also got Andy Serkis as Alfred, and it's a weird rumoured one.
I would have thought Andy Serkis would have suited not Alfred, but no, you've said it.
If you were going to ask me who I thought he was going to be in DC, I could have given you a list of about 100 things that are not
Alfred.
I mean, based on how eager he is to be in a CGI suit, I just assumed he'd be Clayface, but...
That or maybe he could have been Plastic Man.
Yeah, he's got that kind of face.
Yeah.
Not sure what that meant. But...
Is Plastic Man actually in the DC universe, or is he in someone else's universe? I can't remember.
He is DCU.
Is he?
There were rumours about 10 years ago now, which says a lot, that they were going to make a Plastic Man film with David Tennant.
Oh, I want that.
Ultimately, that
I didn't know I wanted that until you said it, but I want that.
That was the rumour for, I don't know, probably about one day. And
would they have made him plastic? I'm sorry, not plastic, Scottish. He would have definitely been plastic. Would they have made him Scottish? Because David Tennant is hot, but David Tennant with his real accent is hotterer.
And you rarely get it.
Oh, he's so hot.
Maybe that's why it's so hot, because you rarely get it as a reality. So.
Oh, David Tennant.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm
in a world of David Tennant at the moment.
Just a tad. So yeah, Andy Serkis, Colin Farrell. I mean, interesting.
Big names.
Yeah. Which I guess, I mean, they're all known actors, but I think some of the earlier casting we've got has been kind of younger and less seen in the public eye.
Yeah.
So I think we seem to be getting a good mix. It is interesting because we seem to be getting Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman. It's Two-Face, maybe. Or
Are
Harvey
they doing
Dent.
like, I guess like Gotham, they had like very kind of hinty stuff for the first season.
Yeah, they're giving you all the
two.
seeds for the villains to come.
Yeah, I can't.
You know, Tim Burton did that. Tim Burton cast man whose name escapes me as Harvey Dent.
True.
Lando Calrissian. I feel really bad. I can't remember. Is he Billy D?
Lando Calrissian's his name.
Lando Calrissian. But you know, he was there, and it was always going to be, hey,
That's
one day you're
true.
the Two-Face, unless they decide that they want Tommy Lee Jones to do that instead.
Yeah, and then Lando left, and Tommy was replaced. Did they ever explain how Lando changed race?
No, they just acted
Okay.
like Harvey Dent hadn't been there for 2 films.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's some continuity issues there between those films anyway. But
If I was Lando, I'd have been well vexed.
I assume they paid him out of his contract quite well, so he's
Good.
probably not that bothered. But
Yeah.
and we got him as Lego Two-Face in the
Did we?
Lego Batman film.
Brilliant.
So he
So-
got there eventually.
Are these like fan castings or actually good, reliable sources?
I don't
Because I struggle with comic book sources. I see a lot of articles that I click on for news for this show, and then it's just
Not
I wanted to
entirely.
say a rude word. It's just rubbish. Just a clickbait
Yeah,
stuff.
I think enough people have kind of reported on this that I think it is legit rumours, not just
Right.
some guys decided that's the truth.
Because we've discussed my source being Lad Bible in the past, and I was uncomfortable with that, and these seem even more unreliable.
I mean, I guess we'll see in the next couple of weeks. They'll either
True.
be mass announcements or we'll look like fools. But
Yeah.
as long as no one comes back to this show or remembers that we've said it,
True.
so if everyone can listen
I'll just take it off.
immediately.
I'll
and
just
then-
take it off listening.
Yeah, we'll just edit out the
The
inaccuracies.
foolishness.
So the news will just be dead air for like 6 minutes.
Yeah. I did have some more news, and I wrote it down, and I intended to action it, and then I didn't. There's a Green Lantern TV series being launched, but I haven't watched the trailer. That's partially because I forgot, and also partially because I'm really not that into Green Lantern.
Incidentally, you sent me the link for this, and I was going to check it, and when I went back to the website last night, it wouldn't load. So I'm also a little blind.
So
on
that
the-
is news. There's a Green Lantern TV series. It's by HBO, which, you know,
budget.
means that there's some budget and hopefully some decent writing, and
Some decent casting.
should have watched the trailer.
We should, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Should we maybe kind of hold that news till next week?
Yeah, maybe next week we'll tell you more about the Green Lantern.
So the news is that there's a trailer, but we don't currently have an opinion on it, other than, ooh, HBO.
I'm going to forewarn you now. I'm almost definitely going to come into next week with a whole bunch of kind of jokes about the film from 10 years ago,
That's fine.
and almost no material about what's actually happening.
That's also fine.
Cracking.
You got any more news?
The only other thing I've got is, and it's a few days old now, but is that there's been a Spider-Verse release date for the second one.
It's a million years away.
It is. So it's
Isn't it like 2022 or something? It's insane.
April the 8th of 2022 will be Spider-Verse 2.
That's
I
two
hope
and a
they give it a better
half
name.
years away.
Yeah, it's a pretty lengthy wait between Spider-Verses.
I am
Spider-Verses,
not
Spider-Verse
pleased. I mean, obviously I'm pleased that there's a Spider-Verse 2, but come on.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, I guess, production and writing and whatnot takes time, but
And I guess that if they're
feels
going to
like-
do it, they should do it properly. That's the argument, yada, yada, yada. But once sooner.
well, of course, and I guess we'll see, but yeah, 2022 seems forever,
It does, doesn't it?
and that's a mighty long time.
Yeah. Any other news?
That
Because I've got
is
none.
shockingly all the news I could kind of scrape. I kind of double-checked for news last night and just came up with people talking about, well, we read Undiscovered Country, and it's like, yeah, so did we, so
Yeah.
I don't really want to...
Well, we have got news about the show.
Yeah.
We've decided that we're going to do... Last week, we ran out of time to discuss the Joe Hill stuff, so we kind of tacked on an extra discussion on the end and put it on the listen again. So if you listen to the live show, you missed out, but you could then listen to it again on Mixcloud or the podcast versions. And because we're children, we called it Pull or Pass After Dark.
Yeah, we
and
did.
literally everyone I've told about that has given me a look, which makes me think it is the best name ever. If it gets 100% look as a response, this pleases me. So we're keeping that name for sure. And it's essentially a sometime extra Easter eggy type situation when we've got something interesting. We've run out of time, we want to talk about a book, or we managed to get an interview with a comic book person, or we want to discuss something comic book related that isn't listening to this week's comics and deciding whether we want to pull or pass. Then we put it as a pull or pass after dark, and we don't put it on the radio show. We just put it as an extra on our listen again. We're not going to do it every week.
No.
We're going to do it when we want to.
Which will be sometimes.
But sometimes does mean this week.
Yes.
Because you did an interview, Zach. Tell us about your interview.
I did. So Hamish Steele, writer of Pantheon and Dead India, was signing at Travelling Man, and I managed to kidnap him for some minutes to discuss Dead India 2, The Broken Halo, which apparently is not called Dead India 2. I just keep forcing the number in there.
Gosh.
The Broken Halo. So
Right.
that'll be up just after this week's show. Well, not just after, but a couple of days after.
We're going to post it on Tuesdays, but only if we've got one. We're not doing it every week. We're doing it when we want.
So it's going to be more or less at random, but I guess we'll try and
It's on a Tuesday
foreshadow
when
it on this show.
Yeah, it's on a Tuesday when it happens. So this week's show, this week's Pull or Pass After Dark, will be on Tuesday, the whatever it is. I haven't got my diary out. This Tuesday. Yeah.
12th? 12th is Zach's guess.
It might be the 12th. Tuesday, the next one.
Yes.
So there you go. That is show news, and I really like the idea of Pull or Pass After Dark. It gives us a little bit more flexibility, but it keeps the show consistent.
I mean, what I learned about it is saying Pull or Pass After Dark episode. That's a lot of words.
Oh, I didn't say what episode this is. Hello and welcome to Pull or Pass Issue 6.
So, Mark, what have you got for the news this week?
Should we talk about some comics? So we've got 3, maybe 4. We're definitely talking about Legion of Superheroes, Undiscovered Country, and Yondu, but we might, if we've got time, discuss Genlock.
We shall see.
So should we talk about... Should we go with indie first, seeing as we always seem to go with either Marvel or DC? Should we go with Undiscovered Country first?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well, I'm going to hit you with some premise for the people at home.
Go on.
You know, what if the USA closed its borders and we didn't hear from them for like 30 years until the world was suffering from a world-ending plague? I had mixed feelings about Undiscovered Country. Conceptually, I'm really interested. But I also feel a little bit like it's obviously written by 2 Americans.
Yes, I was about... Yeah, and I've written very similar in my notes that it's an interesting concept, but I'm a little bit sour that it's America that's the utopia. Come on, that's not the realistic country that was going to be the utopia. It would have obviously been Sweden.
Most probably, yeah.
You know? It's so obvious that the country that gets it right the most of the time, obviously if you're a left-wing woolly liberal like me, is Sweden. And this... America's never going to be that country, I'm sorry.
But then, is America that country in Undiscovered Country?
Well, yes, I guess so.
Because, obviously, nothing is what it seems, and such. The kind of things that interested me most here was, so, when America shut the borders and disappear, we kind of got different kind of super nations in the rest of the world. So we end up with the Alliance Euro-Afrique and the Pan-Asiatic Prosperity Zone.
Which are good ideas.
Tell me more. That's the things, all day you can talk to me about those things. I'm super interested in how that would work and what your thoughts are on super countries. What else?
I like the concept, but like you, I felt that I don't know. I quite happily read Captain America, but this felt almost too American. It was very kind of American arrogance, I guess. And I know we've got some American listeners, and I do apologise if I'm being unpleasant, but there is an element of America is the best, everybody else should follow us. And you don't really see that so much in comics, but you did in this one.
I also think it's... So what I thought about yesterday is you've got comments in the back, and I liked this, so there's some back matter that kind of informs the universe a bit. Mm-hmm. You've got quotes from the character Valentina's book, where it's people from the rest of the world talking about America closing up shop and going home. It's like, the thing is, if America did disappear for 30 years, I think if you asked most people in England, they'd probably just go, idiots. I don't think they'd have this kind of big point of view of, well, it was just like this nation was gone. I think we'd be much more like, why?
No, I think I disagree with that. I think British people have American culture so ingrained into their lives that, I mean, I'd be quite upset that we'd have no more DCU or no more MCU or no more Walking Dead if I hadn't finished it.
But would we not get by? Would we not?
Oh, we'd get by, but I'd be cross. I'd definitely be cross.
And I get that, and I think from a media standpoint, it'd be a major blow. From a not dealing with many of the other American issues, I think people would get over it.
This is not a political show, but we have our own issues at the moment, which are equally as unpleasant as the issues that our American friends have.
Don't get me wrong, if England went away for 30 years and left me alone, I'd be into that as well.
Do we could probably do with... The world could do with us shutting our gobs for a while, I think.
Couldn't hurt.
Yeah. And we don't have cool stuff like the MCU and Walking Dead and other stuff I like.
We could get the 2000 ADU any decade.
People might get
now.
upset that there's no more Doctor Who and no more exporting of scones.
Is that all we do? Scones and Doctor Who?
Can you think of anything more British?
Crumpets. It's all breakfast products, that's what I'm learning.
This comic has motivated us both to be cynical, vile, kind of jaded, but basically admit what we are, I suppose.
I thought we were... I didn't think this is who we really were. I thought we were more...
I know. I try and be a happy soul, but... Not that I believe in the soul, but I try and be a happy person, and...
This cynical, happy person.
This book made me think too much about stuff, I think.
I'm going to try and claw it back.
Yeah, let's claw it back. Let's talk about the actual comic. Right, here we go. I really like the usage of panels. Mm-hmm. There were... I'm a sucker for a full-page spread, and there weren't any.
But they were kind of almost full-page spreads.
Yeah, and the way they did it, it was a weird... it wasn't complex, but it was still original in a lot of the ways that they did kind of unconventional panels. But... when people experiment with that, sometimes it's quite difficult to work out where you're reading in which order. Yeah. But that wasn't the case here. So big props for that. That was really, really, really well done. And I noticed it and I liked it. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah, no, I did really like that. I thought the artwork was really good throughout, which was...
the artwork was great too. But I'm talking about the panelling itself rather than the artwork specific.
I mean, is panelling not part of the artwork?
True. Is panelling a word?
It is now.
It is now.
We keep saying it.
We made it.
But yeah, I think it's quite a nice layout throughout, and the kind of half double page spreads.
Yeah.
God, that's such a contradiction.
Peculiar. But I liked them.
Does work. It is similar to, so we read earlier this week Black Science. There are some of that kind of throughout Black Science. So it is a thing we've seen before, but in this, I think it was used quite effectively.
I think this was used better than it was in Black Science.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I did have legit storytelling issues this time, not Zach questions America.
Okay, good.
30 years to get giant land animals.
Yeah. I put suddenly different, weird sci-fi, balmy, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Yeah, fair. That was a question more of a kind of, we're in the future. You can give us any time period. It's comics. We're not going to go, it doesn't make sense. So you tell us it's 100 years, we ain't going to question it. You tell us it's 200 years. You can tell us it's 30 years and we've got giant dung beetles. I'm a little bit like, wait, do we? How?
Yeah, it kind of, this comic didn't seem to know what it was. Was it fantasy sci-fi? Was it a Mad Max clone? Was it a story about a virus that wipes out people and the survivors? You know, these are all things we've seen 100 times done in slightly different ways. Was it a dystopia? What was it? There was a lot of, we want to put all of the sci-fi in this.
Which, in itself, reminded me quite heavily of Old Man Logan.
Right.
The kind of landscape we get, is it Mad Max? Is it dystopia? Is it this kind of sci-fi? I feel like, because when we see the United States in Old Man Logan, and it's kind of everything's going on, because all the different villains have got their own piece of land.
Yeah.
So I felt like we got kind of that kind of vibe from America in this. I mean, we only really see, I'm going to go with the Nevada desert.
Potentially.
One of the deserts.
A desert.
So we don't really see what's going on in the main bulk of the US, but
I wanted to like this. I liked the concept, and I read it, and I came out somewhat dissatisfied, and that's rare for me with an Image title, because Image seemed to just be churning out red-hot titles again and again and again, exactly the kind of stuff I like. And I expected this to be the stuff I like, and it wasn't.
It's a weird one for me, because I'm not the biggest of Scott Snyder fans, but he does talk in the back of this first issue. There's like a letter from Scott Snyder and Charles Soule. He talks about writing this kind of and coming up with the idea off the back of his Swamp Thing run, and his Swamp Thing run is is my favourite thing that he has written.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I wanted to come at it from a positive thing. Charles Soule as well wrote one of my favourite indie comics, which is Letter 44. It's something I've come to quite late, but it's really, really good. And I don't know, I kind of hoped that together they would balance out the things that I don't think they're always consistent with, but instead I feel like here a lot of the inconsistencies are there of kind of, it's sci-fi and I'm into it and I'm curious, it's an interesting concept, but on the other hand, it's not really going the way I expected it to, I guess. I'm kind of curious what the plan is, and I liked that there's the back matter was there, like we had the timeline of what led to America.
That was good.
The ceiling.
Yeah, I do like stuff like that normally.
And I like I say, I liked the extracts from the book. I thought having quotes from Valentina's book was like informed us of the rest of the world. I guess this first issue for me could have been 30 pages of how the rest of the world dealt with No America, and it would have ended with a kind of cliffhanger of them getting the message that America had a cure for the plague.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted a little bit more of the world before you start telling me what's in America.
Yeah, that's probably true.
The premise of America's not there, here's everything else, which immediately becomes, but we're back in America. It's like, well, save that. Tell me that later. Show me the world without America and how it's changed everything. And then clue me in issue 2.
So, Undiscovered Country, Zach, pull or pass?
It's a pass, but with a kind of caveat of probably trade, actually.
For me, I really expected this to be a pull, and it's such a meaty pass that I probably won't bother with the trade. I was very disappointed. Maybe I went in with too high expectations because it was Image and it was sci-fi and it was the kind of thing I thought I'd like, and it just, didn't hook me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
The art was pretty, though. The art was really pretty.
Which was illegible Zach handwriting. Art was by... I can't read. Never mind. Art was good.
Art was good.
I will come back to the artist names when I can read my own
I
handwriting.
rely on you to do the artists and author names, because I'm a bit rubbish at that.
I can do the author names all day.
Let's move on. Let's move on to Legion of Superheroes by DC Comics.
Yes.
And Zach, say something positive about this book, please.
Ryan Sook is a Sook. Great artist, real shiny and clean and nice. That sounds really odd, but I like his art. I also
the art was good.
Really like the design of New Earth.
What I will say about this is that it was exactly what I expected.
Yes, a little bit. I had forgotten that they have aged up John Kent, so Superboy. So the last thing I read with him in, he's like 10. And seeing him now as like a teenager is like, what have you done to this sweet, pure child? Why have you made him twice his age? That's a weird one for me.
Would you like to know what I expected?
A shiny, happy, futuristic.
I expected to loathe the book.
And here we are.
I didn't recognise any of the superheroes because it's set in the future. But, right, the Aquaman trident, it immediately made me think, well, that's just Major Victory plot.
Yeah, it is quite Major Victory.
And I quite liked Major Victory when he was like... Because Major Victory is an odd character who's originally started off as basically boy who found Captain America's shield and became future Captain America.
Kinda. Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two different versions of Major Victory, which gets super confusing as well.
I know, but I'm talking about
three?
I'm talking about the version that I just described.
Yes.
And the Aquaman trident is exactly that. And I'm like, well, that's really quite obvious. Karate Kid. I mean, surely that can get them into trouble, having a superhero called Karate Kid. There's 4 films, 5 if you include the one that was really bad.
And we do.
with the Power Ranger girl in it.
I guess the thing is, I knew about Karate Kid because he's been in previous Legion of Superhero.
I didn't.
So
how did they get away with that?
I would...
Surely it's copyrighted.
This is a Google issue. I don't really know, but it's one of the few that I've always been like, oh yeah, you're still managing to do that. I wonder how.
I've just found something I liked.
Mm-hmm.
There was one gag about revamps and reboots that I thought was clever.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
There we go.
I really liked the joke where John, Superboy, introduces himself to someone, and next to the person it brings up the little bubble saying, hey, this is this guy, and this is his real name, and these are his superpowers. And John kind of goes, the hell is that? And they're all like, oh yeah, well it's technology, we don't even notice it anymore. And I thought as a kind of...
That's clever.
I thought as a dumb joke about those name tags that always pop up in comics where there's too many characters.
Yeah, that's clever.
I don't know, I quite like shiny, happy, future DC. They do remark that the Legionnaires, if you will, have too many members.
I find that really problematic as well.
It's a bad name.
The Legionnaires, that's a derogatory term for people who had AIDS in the 80s. It was because it was really called Legion's disease, wasn't it? And then people who had AIDS were Legionnaires. It's a terrible, terrible name for a superhero.
Superhero group. Much worse in many ways.
Who okayed that?
I can only assume it's something that started doing with the original Legion of Superheroes, and it's just a hangover that they've not thought about, I guess.
I mean, was that never... I don't know. I mean, the Legionnaire was a horrible term for someone who literally had legions on them because they were dying of AIDS. Was that not a term that was used in America? We have had that in the past with benders in The Last Airbender, everyone being referred to as a bender. And I've said before, did they not have one single British person or gay person on their team that didn't go, wait a minute, people might lol at this? So surely this should have been retconned or never happened in the first place.
I don't really know. I
kind of did a little bit of a sick in my mouth when they referred to people as legionnaires.
Fair. It's a weird. Like I say, I can only assume it's a hangover from old Legion of Superheroes, but I don't know. They should have checked, I guess, or thought about it.
Maybe, like I say, maybe it wasn't a term used in America.
Yeah.
For the longest time, you could get away with British swear words in America because they didn't know what they meant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the case anymore because, cross-culture and stuff. But in the 90s, there was a certain word to describe a gentleman's parts that was infamously not recognised by Americans.
Mm.
So, I don't know. I don't think they can get away with that now.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
I really didn't like this book.
I'm getting that.
Did you like it, genuinely?
I have kind of mixed feelings. It's kind of it's such an establishing first issue that it almost feels like everything is there just to go, guess what? This is going to be a Legion of Superheroes comic. And it's like, yeah, I know. It's literally right there on the cover. And I do think the artwork's really nice. I guess I wanted more to this first issue, and I get that, John's meeting the Legion, and you got to show him what that is and do the intro. And I think there are some good jokes in there, the name tag, the retcon joke.
I'll give you that.
The repeated joke of, we do have an introduction video about the future, if you can just come back to headquarters, we'll show you that before you... No, you've flown off. Okay, cool. So I think some all very kind of Brian Michael Bendis style comedy, the similar kind of things we would have got in Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes,
10 plus years ago. And I do like John Kent, and I do like the future. I do like that kind of sci-fi. I guess I'm just a bit, I don't know. I wanted more foundation here, not just as a nice light intro. And I guess that's the thing. I guess people might not have read any Legion of Superheroes before.
I hadn't.
So I think there was a series in New 52, but that's obviously 5 years ago now, maybe. So I guess, this probably needed to be an introduction for people who haven't had any Legion of Superheroes in their comic book reading life. History.
Yeah, and I get what they were trying to do. I just didn't like it.
I can get that. Like I say, I think there were glimmers of hope, but they...
I've written down a gag. It was rated T for teen. I thought it was S for pass.
I'm also going to pass on this one. It's a double pass from Zach this week.
Good.
But I kind of want to know where they're going to go.
I don't.
Well, it's good. We're disagreeing.
I'm trying really hard. I try really hard to be positive on this show, and like I say, I found a gag that I liked, but this just absolutely wasn't for me.
I can get that. I think I'm not sure who the target is for this one. Because it always feels like when they're revamping old comics like Legion of Superheroes, they're kind of going for that existing fan base, but trying to claw at new young readers. So I guess we'll see.
It's hard, and I'm not saying it's not hard.
Yeah, of course.
It just didn't resonate with me.
No, I get that. Maybe this is a see how it goes in trade kind of feel for me.
It's not for me. Shall we? Right, I'm looking at how long we've got left of the show, and I'm going to say 2 minutes on Genlock. All right. Let's have 2 minutes on Genlock. So, we discussed Ruby a few weeks ago, and we decided that Genlock, we'd go with Legion of Superheroes over Genlock because we thought it would be a similar discussion. And we were right.
But then we got Genlock anyway.
We got Genlock anyway. Our lovely friends at Travelling Man gave us Genlock as a bonus.
Incidentally, they are our sponsor, and we never told anyone that.
I know, we need to do that. That was kind of the link I was getting at, mate.
It's a link we've made. I've interjected, I've said it.
So Travelling Man are your local comic book shop in Manchester, York, Leeds and Newcastle at Travelling Man UK on Twitter. And they have a website, but that's what Google's for. So Google Travelling Man and you'll find it. They are good folk who are a proper local comic book shop who care about comics and board games and other geekery. So they're your local geek shop, really.
Yeah.
And they are good folk who sponsor this show, and they allow us to to basically continue doing what we do. It is actually Thought Bubble this weekend. If you're listening to this live, then go and see it on Sunday. If you go to Thought Bubble on Sunday. If you're listening to this on Listen Again, you've missed Thought Bubble. That's a shame.
But there's always next year.
Tell them about Thought Bubble, Zach.
So Thought Bubble is a kind of Yorkshire-based sequential art festival. Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
Which was previously in Leeds. This is the first year it's going to be in Harrogate because Harrogate. It's probably one of the best UK conventions. It's one of the ones that actually goes just all in on artists and writers rather than
American stars.
Yes, there we go. Celebrities.
Grassroots and all those buzzwords. But actually, what it actually means is it's like a proper Comic-Con for people who are actually fans of comics.
Which is probably what you expect from a Comic-Con and don't always get.
Yeah.
So it's a good one. There's some great guests this year. You got Donny Cates. Love Donny Cates.
Donny Cates?
Mariko Tamaki and Gillian Tamaki.
Cool.
And other such people. Jerry Duggan, who we seem to really like at the moment.
Good.
He did Marauders and Dead Eyes and all the books we seem to like. So there's a pretty good and long list of guests. So again, that's what Google's for.
Yeah, have a look at Thought Bubble. If you're listening to this Saturday morning, then great. You can go tomorrow if you listen to this Saturday evening, because we've got our 11 and 11 shows now, 11 a.m, 11 p.m. on Fab Radio. If you listen to it then, you can go to Thought Bubble tomorrow. If you listen to this on Sunday, you lucked out.
Sorry.
Next year. Let's talk about Genlock. So, very, very quickly, the art was cool, and I liked that there were different colours for different languages that were being translated by universal translators. It reminded me of Captain Planet, the Power Rangers, and generic Japanese robotiness, and I had no idea what was going on. It was significantly better than Ruby, but the Sycorax are Doctor Who baddies. Why haven't they been sued?
Thank you, because my immediate thing was just Sycorax. Why do I know this word? And then, that's why. Okay, it's an existing thing. Very much all the things you said. It feels very Power Rangers, very Transformers-looking designs with the robot peeps, giant robots, hollows. I think they were.
Yeah.
Felt somewhat uninformed.
Yeah, it felt slightly more introducery than Ruby did, but not enough. I was still completely baffled.
See, I almost felt the opposite, because Ruby gave us quite a lot of the backstory. I felt this kind of, although it was an intro, I feel like it didn't give us as much back story to fall upon.
Interesting.
But again, what we said with Ruby, I think if you're into Genlock, you're probably going to be into this.
Yeah, I think it was the art was great. The story was baffling, but I guess might have made sense to fans. I think this is a book that is for fans, just like Ruby was, which is why we're not doing a massive discussion on it.
Incidentally, it is also from Rooster Teeth as well. They seem to have this little DC imprint at the moment.
That's right, yeah.
So, yeah, I think Genlock, if you're into Genlock, you should probably read Genlock.
Yeah.
If you're not into Genlock,
probably not.
You might struggle with this, and maybe go watch Genlock first.
Yeah, it was a pass for me, but it was an inevitable pass, really.
Yeah, it's a considerate pass. I think it's a pass from both of us, but with the caveat of, hey, if you're into Genlock, you're going to love this.
Agree. Yondu 1 by Marvel.
Yeah, Yondu. Yondu 1 brought to us by people Zach Thompson, Lonnie Nadler, John McCree, and Mike Spicer.
Okay.
Which I could have read off the front of the book, but instead I made notes of. Never mind.
Very quick note, no wasted full page of logo and no gecko. This pleased me immensely. Thank you, Marvel.
So you're into the back page credits instead?
Well, okay, back page credits. Good point.
I mean, hey, that's at least... It's only one page and it was at the end.
I loved the front cover.
You know what? It's grown on me. I didn't like it originally. The more I've stared at the front cover, and boy, does he stare back at it.
It's creepy as hell. It's a great front cover.
This reminds me of... so I have a Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt.
Of course you do.
From about 1998. Good. When my cousin went to see Raw in America. and because all his friends came away with the 316 T-shirt, decided he was going to be different.
Right.
And came away with an Austin T-shirt that is literally Steve Austin's face, full front print, staring you dead in the eyes. And that's kind of what this Yondu T-shirt reminds me of. That.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Reminds me of the Not Great Austin T-shirt that I came into possession of and still wear to make people unhappy.
I think I've seen you wear that T-shirt, and it's definitely a thing.
It's a real. It's
a great cover, though.
Yeah,
I think it's like a big, scary blue man looking at you through his red eyes, and just the nasty smile on his face. It's very thematic. It works well, and it gives you Yondu.
So my one sentence description here was: it's a time traveling crossover with both versions of Yondu.
Right.
And
yes.
it is, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's in the last year or so we've seen the introduction into the comic book universe of kind of cinematic Yondu.
Yes.
Because original Yondu is 1,000 years in our future and very different from the film.
Indeed.
So this is kind of Yondu meets Yondu in a battle to save Yondu, I guess.
Yondu is a good word.
I love Yondu.
It's a good word.
So future Yondu comes back to tell present Yondu to, do stuff.
I like present Yondu though. I find him. He's the kind of maverick anti-hero that I get on with, and I liked. Did you feel like this didn't really need to be in the Marvel universe? It could have been sci-fi about a kind of space bum.
Yeah,
that didn't need to be in the Marvel. Not that I care, but it struck me as there's literally no one in here that I recognise other than Yondu. They could have called him Dave the Bounty Hunter or something. I mean, and it could have worked just as well.
I guess the thing is, we do kind of have that at the moment. We've got Mark Miller is doing Sharky the Bounty Hunter, which is kind of a similar type.
True.
And I think we do get those books. I do like it when we get Marvel books that feel like they don't really care about the larger continuity.
What I don't want to see is 3 issues in, the Amazing Spider-Man guests in Yondu. I don't want that.
I think we're a lot more likely to get the Guardians,
or the Silver Surfer, but you know what I'm getting at.
I know the one we all want, Galactus. Love a good unnecessary Galactus appearance.
Oh, Galactus.
I actually quite like this though. I
loved it.
I think it's funny. I think it's like there's little things like he's got a poster up of a woman in his ship, but it's got a photo of Thanos' head over it. Little jokes like that really worked. It's funny.
I found it charming and
kind of quirkily weird.
Yeah.
Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler kind of read quite a lot of their work in the last couple of years. They they did the Age of X-Man event and kind of curated it and did the main story. But they kind of won me over when I was working in the former mentioned Travelling Man. They did email us kind of a full, hey guys, this is what Age of X-Man is, and the kind of, I think getting any interaction between creators and them being like, we're really into this and you should be too, kind of puts me on their side. I feel like they care more than some other Marvel people. It just feels like they're invested in what they're doing, which is nice.
This was also a journey of how to deal with swear words.
Yes, I love Flark.
Flark. It reminded me of Grud from 2000 AD and Bastiche from Lobo, etc., etc. Basta ...
Yeah.
And then usage of percentage symbol, $sign, @symbol, hashtag. So they went through all the ways that comics deal with swear words, and I liked that because it emphasised how sweary Yondu is.
Yeah, I think it really fitted with the character.
I thought that was cool.
He's going to swear eventually, but how are they going to do it?
There was no eventually. He sweared nearly every page, but in different ways, which I liked.
We do see the reveal of what looks like a really beat-up-looking Skrull villain, and I like Skrulls, man.
I like Skrulls.
I'm pretty into this.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know what to expect, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, this is a pull.
I think it's a pull for me as well. One of my concerns going in, because I didn't really read the preview or anything like that beforehand of what was coming, was that we were going to get a bit of a soft reboot and future Yondu would just not exist. But then, obviously, this being a crossover and them going, future Yondu is just a descendant of current Yondu, and everything's fine. He's like,
so is Yondu a surname?
It's meant to be a first name, but because Udonta is his.
Well,
so I don't know. Maybe.
Do you care?
Not really.
No, it's great, wasn't it?
But, yeah, it's just good.
It's a great book.
So, I think it's a one pull from us each this week.
One pull, both of us, same book.
Yondu.
So we'll have to cut it in half or something.
Let's talk about Madman.
I know. We're really short for time, so very, very, very quickly, big plug, because I can. I was a guest on the Without a Mouse podcast this week. We discussed The Cat from Outer Space. It's a Disney podcast that talks about obscure live-action films and looks for a hidden gem. I'm not going to spoil whether The Cat from Outer Space was a hidden gem or not. You should listen to it. At Podwham on Twitter, and just search for them on Spotify, Without a Mouse. And I had a lovely time, and I talked about a cat that's got a nice face.
Which is most conversations with you.
True dat. Next week, Zach.
Next week, yeah.
We have gone for Morbius by Marvel.
Yeah, we have.
The Dollhouse Family by DC Black Label.
Indeed.
And Folklords by Boom Studios. So if you want to read along with us, that's what you need to buy next week. Any particular excitement?
I love Michael Morbius. Ever since I was a kid, he was one of the first characters I went after when I kind of got into comics properly. I'm looking forward to Morbius. Although Dollhouse Family is
really the one that I'm looking forward to the most. I love Joe Hill. I know it isn't written by Joe Hill, but when we read that preview, which was actually our first Pull Up Pass After Dark, I really like the concept of Dollhouse Family the most. So I was already gonna. I've pulled it basically. I've already pulled it. I've asked for all of the Joe Hill comics to be put on my pull list. But I want to discuss it anyway. Which
yeah, of course, yeah.
I'm looking forward to.
So, and be sure to tune in on Tuesday for our first After Dark officially as well.
Yeah, proper After Dark. Yeah. So, thank you very much for listening to Pull or Pass. We've pulled, we've passed.
We're going to do it all again next week.
And we'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to Pull or Pass. To listen again, it's www.mixcloud.com/pull-or-pass.
Or you can listen to the podcast version on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and all other good podcast sites.
Join our Facebook group, search for Pull or Pass Radio Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Pull or Pass.